So there are different types of shoulder pain, and the types of symptoms that you get can be very big indicators about what you're dealing with. Commonly people will say, oh, I have a rotator cuff issue. Or they'll say, yeah, I have a rotator cuff issue, but they point right here on the front of their shoulder. That's not your rotator cuff. Your biceps tendon actually runs all the way up from the front of the shoulder and inserts right at the top of the shoulder socket. So it actually kind of goes in deep to the shoulder. So your biceps tendon plays a big role in some shoulder pain that you're getting, and its secondary function is shoulder flexion, lifting the arm up. That's actually biceps. So if you've done a lot of carrying, if you have a newborn and you're always carrying your baby around, or you did a lot of work where you had to carry some things for an extended period of time that you don't typically do, it's easy to get an overuse injury. So a lot of times when that bicep locks up, it pulls on the tendon gets taut, and now you start to develop some biceps tendonitis. Best way to get rid of that, get the muscle to let go. Make it let the slack out so that tendon is no longer being snagged, and now it can finally recover and repair. So, how do we get the biceps to shut off? I like some good old-fashioned soft tissue work. If you're in the gym and you have access to a barbell or a rack, this is the best position without having to do a lot of work. If you're at home, you could use the back of a chair. Just make sure that doesn't have any sharp edges that are going to dig into you. But essentially, I'm going to leverage my own body weight. I'm going to take my bicep and I'm going to flip my arm over so that it comes in contact with the barbell. Round, smooth, not going to abrade the skin, but firm, so it's going to dig deep. From there, I'm just going to take my free hand, place it on top, and now I can just very lightly bend my knees and hang on this bar. Oh. So now that bar is digging in as much as I feel comfortable letting it. So think of this as more as trying to do a deep tissue massage. As we say, you should kind of hit a level of it hurts so good. It's obviously not so painful that I can't talk and yammer on, but it's not a Swedish massage where I'm just kind of lightly rubbing my skin. That's not doing a heck of a whole lot to challenge the muscle tissue. If you do indeed find a knot where it feels like it's a zinger and you go, oh yeah, that's the sweet spot, that's the trigger point, you're gonna stay right on it and slowly perform elbow bend. So I'm trying to extend my elbow and then relax and then repeat. And what you'll find is that if that is indeed a trigger point, you might come out and that pain will start to spike and escalate. So you're gonna stop and come back and just slowly repeat that. And as it begins to loosen and let go, you'll be able to extend that arm a little further each time until you can get a good lockout. From there, you then repeat to going back to looking for any other trigger points that might be there. And once you've done that to both sides and you've gotten the muscles to become nice and supple, we've eliminated those trigger points and resting tension, then we're gonna move to the floor to stretch out the biceps muscle a little bit more. So now that it is more pliable because it's not stiff and firm, now it's going to be more receptive of being stretched. Again, we're trying to add a little bit of slack into the system to stop pulling on the tendons. So for this one, we're going to be seated on the floor. You're going to place your hands behind you and you want to think about trying to get your pinkies to touch. So I'm going to pinch my shoulder blades together to the best of my ability. Doesn't have to touch, but I just want my hands nice and close with fingertips pointing at the wall behind me. From there, we're gonna bum shuffle. So I'm gonna walk one hip forward at a time, and as I do, you'll see that my arms are being left behind me. And as I alluded to earlier, that biceps tendon assists in shoulder flexion. So what we're doing now is the opposite, going into shoulder extension. So we are stretching out the biceps by getting into this position. Focus on breathing. You shouldn't go so far in that, it's so painful I can't talk. That's too much of a stretch. We want to get in so you can take deep breaths and exhale to relax. Ideally 40 seconds to a minute to really give your muscles some time to relax and enjoy that stretch. From there, I'm going to use my fingers to just slowly walk my hands apart to come out of the stretch. And that is two very simple things that you can do to start addressing biceps tendonitis.